Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and thank you for joining us. You're watching Velayat News. I'm Abroo Sabzwari and now to the top headlines for today. Hassan Rohani has been declared the winner of Iran's presidential election. In Iraq, at least 32 people have been killed and many more injured in a wave of violence, including shootings and car bombings. At least 25 people have been killed in Pakistan after twin suicide attacks in Quetta. Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi says Egypt is cutting diplomatic relations with Syria. Chaos continues in Turkey as Turkish police once again clashed with anti-government protesters. Hundreds of Muslims took to the streets in France to protest against the rise of Islamophobia. Shia Muslims all across the world are celebrating history's most honorable personalities in the month of Shaban. And now the news in detail. Hassan Rohani has been declared the winner of Iran's presidential election, winning with a 50.7% of votes, which had a 72.7% voter turnout. Leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, gave the necessary guidelines to the president-elect. Ayatollah Khamenei and the president-elect held a meeting on Sunday, one day after the official announcement of Rouhani's victory. Ayatollah Khamenei wished Rouhani success in his new position and expressed his gratitude to the Iranian people for their massive turnout in the presidential as well as city and village council elections. He added that Friday's elections were yet another landmark test which showed the Iranian nation's determination to friends and foes alike. Rouhani currently represents leader of the Islamic Revolution Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei in the Supreme National Security Council and is member of the Expediency Council and the Assembly of Experts. He is also president of the Expediency Council's Center for Strategic Research. At least 37 people have been killed and many more injured in a wave of violence, including car bomb attacks and a shooting incident in several southern and central cities of Iraq. The car bomb attacks were carried out in cities including Aziziyah, Mahmudiyah, Nasriya, Najaf, and Basra on Sunday. More than 50 people were wounded in the attacks, where terrorists used 7 vehicles loaded with explosives. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the bombings. However, the Al-Qaeda-linked militant groups which seek to destabilize the central government of Iraq frequently carry out such coordinated attacks. Also on Sunday, at least 6 policemen guarding a pipeline exporting crude oil from the country's northern city of Kirkuk were killed by gunmen, and 5 others were injured. The United Nations says a total of 1,045 people were killed and nearly 2,400 injured in violent incidents in Iraq in the month of May alone. Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki said militant groups and the remnants of the former Ba'athist regime are responsible for the latest wave of violence. A shutterdown strike was observed in Quetta against twin suicide bombings in the capital of Balochistan on Sunday. Pakhtunkhwa Milli Awami Party PKMAP, a Pashtun nationalist group and traders community, had given the call of strike to condemn the incident in which all shops and markets were closed during the strike. The Balochistan government also observed a day of mourning against the tragic bombing which targeted female students in Sardar Bahadur Khan Women University, along with officials and nurses in Bolan Medical Complex Hospital. At least 25 people, including the Deputy Commissioner of Quetta, 14 students of a women's university, and 4 nurses were killed on Saturday when a bomb tore through a bus, followed by a suicide attack and gun battle in the Bolan Medical College Hospital, where the injured students were taken for treatment. Lashkar-e-Jhangmi has claimed responsibility for the blasts. An intelligence official who requested not to be named told Dawn News that a female suicide bomber managed to sneak into the university bus and blew herself up. Afterwards, when the students were taken to the Bolan Medical Complex Hospital for treatment half an hour later, a second male bomber followed suit and struck inside the crowded BMC hospital to wreak maximum damage. According to the intelligence personnel, the male suicide bomber was waiting inside BMC hospital ward for the arrival of high-level officials, including the chief secretary. Egypt's President Mohamed Morsi has announced that Egypt is cutting off all diplomatic relations with Syria and closing the Syrian embassy in Cairo. In an address to thousands of supporters at a rally in Cairo, President Morsi stated that they have decided to entirely break off relations with Syria and with the current Syrian government. He added that his government would also be recalling the Egyptian charge d'affaires from Damascus. In addition, Morsi called on Western states to enforce a no-fly zone over Syria. The United States has recently announced that it will impose a no-fly zone over Syria, and the Pentagon is drawing up plans for the action. Morsi also urged the Lebanese resistance movement Hezbollah to withdraw from Syria, stating there is no space or place for Hezbollah in Syria. The Syria crisis began in March 2011, and many people, including large numbers of government forces, have been killed. Damascus says the chaos is being orchestrated from outside the country, and according to reports, a very large number of militants are foreign nationals. Mayhem continues in Turkey as Turkish police have again used brutal force against anti-government protesters in Istanbul as the supporters of Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan gathered in the city. On Sunday, Turkish riot police once again fired smoke canisters, used pepper spray and water cannons to disperse crowds of protesters trying to converge on Istanbul's Taksim Square. This comes while the protesters are preparing for more demonstrations as the supporters of Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan are gathering in Istanbul. Erdogan once again addressed his supporters a day after a similar rally was held in Ankara. The Turkish premier said on Sunday in Istanbul that it was his duty to order riot police to evict protesters staying at Istanbul's Gezi Park. In a speech to the supporters, the Turkish premier stated that either Taksim Square is cleared or security forces of the country know how to clear it. The unrest in Turkey erupted after police broke up a sit-in staged at Taksim Square on May 31st to protest against a government plan for the redevelopment of Gezi Park. The Turkish Prime Minister has faced international condemnation for his handling of the crisis, and Turkish police have also been strongly criticized for using excessive force against the peaceful protests. 5 people, including a police officer, have reportedly died in the clashes, in which more than 5,000 protesters and 600 police officers have been wounded. In France, hundreds of protesters gathered in front of City Hall of Argenteuil, calling for immediate reaction of the city's mayor and other officials in the face of crimes committed against Muslims. This protest came about after a series of attacks on Muslims, including the latest attack on Thursday against a pregnant Muslim woman wearing hijab, was violently attacked in the city by anti-Islamic elements. Abdul Aziz Chambi, head of the Organization Against Racism and Islamophobia, was among the protesters. He said while anti-Islamic attacks continue in France, the country's officials remain silent. He also added that violence against Muslims is never justifiable and they must come to an end. In response to the protests, the city mayor has said they will not let such anti-Islamic actions take place in their city again. France has the largest Muslim minority population in Western Europe, estimated to be more than 5 million. The first week of Shaban is home to the birth anniversaries of some of the most important figures in Islamic history, including our third holy Imam, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his brother Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and our fourth holy Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, among others. Shia Muslims all over the world are celebrating these blessed days and honoring the holy personalities by conducting various programs. One such example is the Shia Islamic movement in Nigeria, who celebrated the birth anniversaries of Hazrat Abbas, Imam Hussein, and Imam Sajjad on Thursday at Husseiniya Baqiyatullah Zaria under the leadership of Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki. The birthday commemorations were marked together with the hoisting of the green flag on the dome of the Husseiniya. Attended by thousands of Muslims from near and far, the program included the flag ceremony as well as poetry recitation and a short address by the leader of the Islamic movement. The month of Shaban is a month for seeking nearness to Allah and preparing believers for the holy month of Ramadan. The remembrance of holy personalities gives believers a chance to renew themselves spiritually and seek nearness to their Creator. And on that note, we come to the end of our bulletin today. If you'd like to share your community's news and events on Velayat News, you may email us at news@velayattv.org. You can also get the latest headlines and more by logging on to our website, velayattv.org, or catch us on our YouTube and Facebook pages, Velayat TV USA. Many thanks for joining us today. Till next time, I'm Abroo Sabzwari.